D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David James here with you. We are live at Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators will host the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. The Predators looking for their 8th win in 11 games. One of their recent losses, however, were to these Hurricanes about a week and a half ago. So we'll see if the Predators can exact some revenge on the Hurricanes tonight. Again, a 7 o'clock puck drop, 6 o'clock pregame with Max Hers right here on 102.5 The Game. Admittedly, gentlemen,
yes,
at the end of our program yesterday, I was having what my son refers to as the tummy troubles as I looked at the score of the Lipscomb Duke basketball game to see the Bisons leading the Blue Devils by 10 at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and full marks for making it a game with Duke for more than a half. Fortunately for me, Duke prevailed ultimately by 24 points, 97-73. It was a little nerve-wracking, but I feel much better today.
I can't believe that you had a little bit of panic.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
if
you had faith in your team.
If you've met my father, and I love my father, Harlan Vingan, longtime Duke fan, worked at Duke, longtime Duke fan. He is of the mind that everything is going to get bad before it gets better. So it's been ingrained in me that when my teams are playing and things aren't going well, the sky is falling. But Duke remains undefeated. They are one of, if my math is right, 6 undefeated high major teams left in college basketball, including the Vanderbilt Commodores. Listen to this list, Willie. You'll appreciate this. Listen to this list of undefeated high major teams in college basketball. Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Iowa State, Vanderbilt, and Nebraska. Nebraska.
Okay.
Throw Nebraska in there.
For some reason,
that's an eclectic group of
the Cornhuskers are undefeated. But you know what? The Commodores will look to remain undefeated as they take on Memphis tonight. 6 p.m. tip-off, 5:30 pregame show on 94.9 The Fan. So we'll see if the Commodores. Yeah, we'll see if the Commodores can remain undefeated.
Probably.
So, well,
see, David,
from the Memphis fan,
Memphis fan, little faith in this guy.
Listen,
Exactly.
Willie, if you watched Memphis as close as I have, you would have little faith too.
Well, we'll see.
Little fake.
I've seen a lot of Memphis Vanderbilt games. I've played in a couple, played in one. But Memphis has done well against Vanderbilt over the years. This is a big one.
We'll see what happens tonight. Again, a 6 p.m. tip-off, Vanderbilt versus Memphis, 5:30 pregame on 94.9 The Fan. So just a little bit ago, Cam Ward addressed reporters for his weekly news conference, and the Titans season is almost over, mercifully, which means their coaching search will begin in earnest. Earlier today, Cam Ward was asked about how involved he wants to be in that search. Here is what Cam Ward had to say.
How much would you like to be in on the front? Not hiring the guy, but as far as, meeting all the candidates that they bring in and kind of seeing what they have in mind maybe for you.
I want to meet all of them. Every coach who's going to get the opportunity to come here, I want to meet them, have conversations throughout the whole process with them, because that's someone that I'm going to be here with, for that time. So we got to just continue to, me being around and being open to no matter whoever we try to hire, because I know at the end of the day, who we do hire is going to be the right fit for us, whether it's a defensive person or offensive person. They're going to make sure that every person, in the right place and make sure that every person is set up for success.
Conversations already with Mike and Chad about wanting to be involved with this, or maybe what some of the qualities you might want?
Yeah, I've had conversations with them about wanting to be involved. They know how much I want to be involved. And then especially just not even with the scheme part of it, just, as the head coach, who he is on an everyday basis. And then we'll get into, the scheme, what, I know I'm good at, what I want to do, what he thinks, will also help me.
In theory, it makes sense, right? Cam Ward's development largely depends on who the next coach is. Mm-hmm. And it's not like Ward is being given veto power here. I can't imagine a scenario where Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi say, Cam, we're hiring Mike McCarthy. And Ward says, no, we're hiring Matt Nagy. But Derek, Willie, how do we feel about Ward apparently being involved, wanting to be involved in this decision?
I don't see why he shouldn't be. he said it perfectly. Listen, this is the person that I'm going to grow with and develop with. So why shouldn't I meet him and sit down with him and
During
be
the interview process?
Yeah, during it all.
I disagree.
I
would disagree.
think if you're sitting down with a young man, and you ain't got to let him into like all like the contractual stuff, but the philosophy, yes, because he is a part of how do you see the quarterback? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? These are some because what if you hire this guy because you like him? He coming to the building, he don't like him. Now you already got a problem right there. I'm not saying that he should say no, like Adam said, he should say no, don't hire him, but hire him. But what I'm saying is, listen, the future is in the Titans' eyes is Cam Ward being here for the remainder of his career, 10 plus years. So if that's the case, I would want to sit down if I'm the quarterback. I would want to sit down and be a part of something, especially if once y'all narrow it down to like 3 or 4 people. Yes, I should be I am the franchise guy. I'm the face of this organization. Why shouldn't I be a part of it?
Because he hasn't done anything
It doesn't matter if he's done nothing or not. It doesn't matter.
I don't think it's a good idea.
I don't have veto power. This is not veto power. This is a collection of people, and this is the most important person in the franchise right now, the quarterback. Who you hire, yes, but then the quarterback. Everybody knows it. All 32 teams knows it. The most important person on that roster is the quarterback. Why shouldn't the quarterback be privy to, once you've narrowed it down, now him, I know he's not going to want him, if they bring in 10 guys, I don't want to see all. Just let me know when you narrow it down to 3 guys. Then I do want to be a part of the philosophy, what they're thinking. How do they see me? Yes, my strength. What do I need to work on? All these coaches. So whoever you bring in, now I hit the ground running. Now we built a good rapport. Now we're ready to go. I'm not saying that the other way doesn't work. I'm not saying that. But if you are my franchise quarterback, then yes, you should be able to sit in on not all, but some of it. Like when we start talking philosophies, how you see this team, leadership. Come on, Cam, come in here. Sit right here with me. Sit. I'm the GM, Borgonzi.
Nope.
Sit right here with me.
Nope.
Sit right here with me.
I just
listen,
can't.
He's the franchise guy. I guarantee you.
He's not. He's got to become the franchise guy.
In their mind, he's their savior.
Everybody
knows it.
Willie doesn't like
Everybody
this.
knows it.
Willie doesn't like this.
Too many eggs in that basket. You can't put all your eggs in that basket.
There's only one egg.
You might be looking for a quarterback in 2 years. I hope that's not the case.
Well, even if I'm looking for a quarterback
you're
in
sitting
2
there going,
years,
he's going to be our quarterback for 10 years. How do we know that?
Why wouldn't I think if they? I'm gonna tell you, Willie,
can't
they
make a
drafted him.
coach.
No, they drafted him number 1 because they felt he would be the quarterback for the next 10 years. They didn't draft him number 1 and say, "Oh man, he may not be the quarterback after year 2." If that's the case, all y'all need to be fired for drafting him.
Many people have before. History has shown that happens sometimes, and you have to move on. We just talked about yesterday how many teams got it wrong a few times, and now it seems to be going right. The Bears have gotten it wrong more times you can count at quarterback. They hope they have it right.
Willie, what would it hurt that he sits in?
Well, what would it hurt? You're giving him too much say in an entire franchise. That's not his job. He's not an evaluator of coaches.
You're not giving him a say.
He's young.
You're just allowing him to listen.
I would not have him in the interview process. I might introduce him in the hallway or something informally, see if there's a connection, chat for a few minutes. But part of the interview process, no way. That's too much. I mean, you do that for like LeBron or Tom Brady or somebody like that.
Don't you want him to be your LeBron or your Tom Brady?
Yes, but he's young.
Okay,
he hasn't done anything.
Well, sit in here. Tom Brady wasn't going to those rooms anyway because we know how Bill Belichick is. He wasn't letting nobody in that room.
Right.
But listen, this is a new situation. They need to do something contrary to what they have been doing. Because what they have been doing ain't been working.
Well, that's true. But I think you get input from Cam. Give me the profile of the coach. Then it's Mike Borgonzi's job to go find the coach. I don't think it's like, if Mike Borgonzi is like, I think I'm zeroed in on Coach Vingan, and that's my gut, but I've got Cam really pulling at me saying, no, I don't like, I think we should go with Coach Mason. That's a problem. Like it's not.
But you're not.
He's not a coach finder.
You're not giving him
his job to be a coach.
You're not giving him that you're not giving him that power to do that. Only power you're giving
But
him.
let's say then,
is,
okay, you say he doesn't have veto power.
No, he doesn't.
So let's say I hire, let's in that scenario, right? I give Cam input. I'm Borgonzi, and he says I want Coach Mason, and I say, well, that's great, Cam, but I'm the guy, and I'm giving you input, but I think Coach Vingan's the best guy for you. Then what does that do to our relationship?
No, it doesn't do because
that's bad for our relationship.
No, it's not bad for the relationship because the relationship was started off. Hey, listen, this is how you started off. Hey, listen, Cam. Ultimately, I have say in who gets hired, but once I narrow it down to 2 to 3 guys, I'm going to allow you to sit on the philosophy of what they're thinking from an offensive standpoint. But it's still up to me to determine whether he is the right coach for this organization or not. But I'm allowing you to listen in on this. And then, yeah, you may have some feedback, but just like anything, like I tell my kids, listen, you are welcome to say what you need to say. But that doesn't mean I'm going to ultimately at the end agree with you. You know, I could say to my kids, well, this is when they were younger. You're not going over such and such house because, you know, their parents are not going to be there the whole night. But then my son said, well, Dad, this is going to happen. And I'm thinking like, well, okay, I understand that's his brother and I get it. Let me think about it. But ultimately, I got to say, I'm going to say, no, you can't go. Point blank. But I gave you your say. You're allowed to voice your opinion. I listen. But then ultimately, as the parent, I'm saying their parents are not there or they won't be there at the time you're there. So I got to say, you can't go. It's the same with Cam. You bring him in. You say, hey, listen, I'm going to allow you to sit in. Once we narrow this thing down, I'm going to allow you to sit in once we start talking about offensive philosophies. Ultimately, at the end, I have say, me, Brinker, obviously Amy. We are the people but we're going to take into consideration what you say about the philosophy. That's all. But ultimately, it's still their decision. I guarantee you, whether they pick the guy that he sort of had a better connection with or not, that relationship between Cam and Borgonzi is going to be stronger. Because Cam thinks now I can talk to him. He may not agree with me, but he's going to listen to me. That's why I say he should be a part of it.
To your corners, gentlemen. Let's go to James in Ashland City on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. James, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes. Hey, Derek Mason.
Yes,
First
hey.
of all, you're my all-time favorite Titan player. Let's get that right, okay? Now, I got a question for you.
Yes.
First of all, how many years have you been working for 102.5 the game?
About 10 years. I know where
that
you're going.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, about 10 years, yeah.
Okay, in the 10 years you've worked there, has anybody come up to you and said, hey, D-Mace, what do you think about Caroline Fenton? How do you think it could fit GP?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
They did do that, huh?
Yes, they did.
Okay, I was going to say I would bet they didn't do it, but if you say they did it, they did it. Let me tell you why I think it's not a good idea. Mm-hmm. And again, I hear everything you're saying, and I don't completely disagree. Mm-hmm. But here's the problem with it. Here's the net in the ointment. Okay. Is if Cam gives his advice and they take it, and it doesn't work out, who are they going to throw under the bus? They're going to say, Amy, it's Cam Ward's fault. It was his decision. So that's why I'm against it. Now I'll hang up and listen to what you got to say about that.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, James. Not to say I don't get what James is saying, but if it doesn't work out, if I'm the parent, if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to blame my kid. I'm the adult. I'm the one that has the power to say yay and nay. And if it doesn't work, I'm not scapegoating somebody.
Right, but for Borgonzi, if he doesn't get this one right, he's going to be the guy that goes down.
No matter what.
Yes.
Even if Cam's in the room or not in the room,
right.
If it doesn't work,
but that's why
I
can't. You cannot give him that much power.
That's not
it's
giving
not
him
right.
Power.
I think there's input, and
that's giving him input.
It shouldn't
not
just
power.
It should be Cam, Jeffrey Simmons, maybe even one or two other guys. It's probably those two guys in particular. But I think outside of the interview process, if there's a little bit of, keeping them in the loop. Here's what we're looking at. Let me introduce you to these guys on the outside. But also maybe on the front end before they start the interview process. What do you think our team needs? I think you pick their brain a lot. But the search process and the interview process has to be Borgonzi alone. I cannot have my quarterback sitting in. How's Jeffrey Simmons going to feel?
And
if Cam Ward's in there?
That is And again, I'm glad you brought that up because I was about to say, yeah, well, how would Jeffrey feel? But here's the thing. If Jeff is true to his word, which I believe he is, he wouldn't care. He understands that man right there
is the meal
number
ticket.
one.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He is the guy. He and I can talk. And he and I can kind of go, all right. And then he's the guy that's going to go in the room. He got a seat at the table.
Right.
I want to see at the table.
But
That's
how
all
does
I
he know?
want. I want to see at the table. It don't have to be a
no
big seat.
experience
It can be a kid seat. I just want to see at the table. Right?
No.
When I was little, Willie, when I was little, and you probably went through this. I don't know if you did, Adam. We're a little bit older than you. But when the grown-ups were all around, where did the kids sit at the kids' table?
Yeah,
and we wanted so bad to be at that. Not even to have, just to listen. Like, oh man, I just want. Well, that can't be at the table. You can give them the little seat, but let them be at the table. Let them listen. Let them, give a little bit. You want some peas, little Derek? No, I don't want no peas, Mama. Well, you don't eat them peas anyway. All right, Mama. See, that's how it works. That's just how it works.
Oh man!
But I understand what the caller. I understand what the caller was saying. But then again, it's like this franchise. Because nowadays a lot of this is about relationships, and you building a relationship. That's why Vrabel was so good at his job. Because he built relationships. He had that relationship with the quarterback. He had it with Jeff. He had it with a Byard, all those guys, AJ. That is one of the most critical things when it comes to a quarterback and a head coach is that relationship, that bond that you two build. If it's the offensive coordinator, great. It's that bond that you two build. There's a reason why head coaches put together these leadership councils. They do it here with the Nashville Predators. And I guarantee you, whether it be Coach Bruno or whoever coach is going to be with the Titans, let's just say McCoy now. I guarantee you, before things are like done in a locker room, like some things, not all things, but that are going to affect the guys, they go in there and they say, leadership council, come into my office. This is what I'm thinking about doing.
No question. But
now
I may not.
No. But it's
very different.
Because what I'm doing is affecting the locker room. It's affecting the locker room. So I got to go to my leadership. I may not agree with them. I may say no. I'm going to do it anyway. But at least they know that I'm listening to them.
Yes,
and
that's
take
important.
their opinion. But that don't ultimately mean that I'm going to do what they want me to do. This is what can.
That's separate than the search. I like what you're saying there. That talk needs to happen. I also find it fascinating that Cam Ward would, without batting an eye, get that question and say, yeah, I want to be in there. Like, he's a rookie. I think he should be more measured. Man. I know he does. And it is coming from the right place. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a little bit stepping out to say, yeah, I want to be in there. Like, I think there could have been a little bit more of, well, if they want my input, I'm fully willing to give it. He was like, yeah, I want to be in the room.
I would have said that too.
Come on, man.
Let me in the room, man. I want to see what y'all be saying.
Nope, I'm not there.
Come on, let little Derek in.
Hair Metal Henry says, I don't know if it's because you guys are broadcasting at Bridgestone, but it sounds like we're having a little glove drop early, and that's how we like it. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. Cam Ward says he would like to be involved in the coaching search / hiring process. Derek's fine with it. Willie isn't. Where do you stand on this issue? 615-737-1025. A reminder that at some point during today's program, we will be giving away Music City Bowl tickets. I have another trivia question because I'm not just giving these away. You have to earn them. And I will let you know in due time when we will be giving them away. But be listening because we do have another pair of Music City Bowl tickets to give away. 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction on this coming up next. But tonight on Totally Hits 93.3, catch MTSU men's basketball as the Blue Raiders take on Kennesaw State at 6:30. Coverage is also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at TotallyHitsNashville.com.
Mike and Chad about wanting to be involved with this, or maybe what some of the qualities you might want?
Yeah, I've had a conversation with them about want to be involved. They know how much I want to be involved, and then especially just not even with the scheme part of it, just as the head coach, who he is on an everyday basis, and then we'll get into the scheme, what I know I'm good at, what I want to do, what he thinks will also help me.
That was Cam Ward discussing his
Mhm.
preferred
Yeah.
involvement in the Titans head coaching search. Derek doesn't mind it. Willie says, no, thank you. Thomas in Nashville on our text line, driven by Wilson County, Hundy.com, says, D-Mace, you know I love you, and you're one of my favorite Titans of all time.
Just
But
get to
but I
it.
got to go with Big
Man,
Bill on
not
this
you.
one. No player should have any input in the coaching search, especially a rookie. The only input Cam should have is on play preferences, but even then, he does not get the final say. So I respectfully disagree with you this one time, Derek Mason.
I mean, that's cool to disagree. I don't mind that one bit.
He did it politely.
I think it's debatable. I think that there might be 20 teams that would do this, and it would be divided. It wouldn't be 20-0 either way. I think it depends on your point of view. And I think there's ways to involve him without having him in the interview process. I think there's a line that I would not cross. I would not have him in the room while interviews are going on.
Listen,
I'd keep him up to date on the search. I would tell him who the candidates are. I would get some input, but that's as far as I would go.
Once we got to, again, I'm not, the contractual stuff and some of the other like outside stuff, because it's more than just philosophy while you're hiring a coach. Yes, you want that guy to come in and have a, as far as what you want to do schematically or, offensively or defensively, what are you thinking? That stuff. But I can have him in on that, but I'm not going to have him in on like some of the other things that are not going to involve him nor the team. Like, get to know him as a person. Well, once we narrow it down to 2 or 3, I mean, I'm sure you're going to get to know those people as they're coming in and out of the building as I'm interviewing. But only when we are talking, as far as how this team, offensive sort of philosophy, what are you thinking? Yeah, I would want Cam to sit in on that. What do you think about, what are some things he can improve at? How do you see, you marrying your philosophy to him? Y'all sit down and y'all discuss that. But that's after y'all have talked about everything else that has nothing really to do with Cam. But the play, that does have to do with him. So I have no problem. Again, I think some people, just because, and I thought I explained it right, and I'm sure I did, but, I get it. Some people they don't feel comfortable with that. Maybe if he was a 5th or 6th year player, they'd feel more comfortable with it. But this organization, they need to get out whatever funk they're in. And we've done all these things throughout the years, and it hadn't worked. I don't see how bringing him into a portion, not even a big part, a portion, a small part of the interview where we're talking about offensive philosophies. What do you see in our quarterback? How does he fit that part? Yeah, I can have him in on, but the other part, no, he doesn't. Again, he doesn't need to be in on that part. But I think this is my guy for the next 10 years. So I want to make sure that those two guys are seeing, eye to eye in a sense when it comes to how the offense, what do you envision for the offense with me as the quarterback? You hire him and he says that, then you get him in the room and it's like, man, what? Being a small part of that, I don't think is a bad thing. I don't think it would hurt anybody. I don't think it would hurt the organization. Cam doesn't look like the guy. He doesn't come off as the guy that you give him a little power, he's going to run with it. We all seen those people. They get power, they run with it, and all of a sudden you become the crossing guard and you want to be the principal of the school. It's like, no, you crossing guard, kid. Okay, I used to do that when I was little. They
Does it
gave
matter?
me the crossing guard thing. I thought I was like, yes, big man.
Are you influenced by the fact
Respect the
that he
vest.
really hasn't
Yeah,
done?
respect the vest. I'm talking about crossing guards when you're little. Everybody knows about those.
Sure, but it influences me some that he has not excelled if he had done a little bit better, then maybe I would be more apt to go. But I cannot be sure right now that he is my guy in 2 years. I know he's my guy next year, but if next year doesn't go well, then it does happen. It happens more often than it doesn't happen. That you have to move on from a guy that you thought was the guy. Justin Fields just was the guy not long ago in Chicago, and now they have Caleb Williams.
Again, if
that wasn't that long ago.
You're right. If you're drafting a guy and you're thinking in your mind that 2 years he may not be here, you just don't draft him. That's the way I look at it. Don't draft him. I understand things happen, but
everybody that you draft, you hope is going to be.
I know, but I'm not
going to. It doesn't happen that way.
I know, but I'm not going to at the beginning think, oh, this is only a 2-year run. No, I'm envisioning 10, 15
right. I'm
years.
not saying you're not thinking positive and optimistic. I am too.
Come on, Coach Willie, you of all people.
I know, Coach Willie's optimistic. But that doesn't mean I'm going to let him hire the next coach. I got to hire the right coach.
See, he's not hiring the next coach, Willie.
He's not to get this right. It cannot be just based on Cam Ward. It's got to be for everybody.
So if they need to get this right, shouldn't he be having some input in it?
I want the coach that can get this on the right path. If Cam Ward's the guy, and if Cam Ward isn't the guy, that's the ideal coach. Not the guy that just can get Cam Ward. Like that messed up last time. They wanted the guy. Hey, Will Levis, we got this great quarterback. Who's the guy? Brian Callahan. It didn't work with Will Levis. Maybe they should have let. And it didn't work for Callahan.
They should have let Will Levis sit in on the meetings, and maybe they wouldn't have brought Callahan in. Maybe they would have saw him like, we can't do it. Or they would have got rid of Will Levis before the season even started. One of the two. Again, I'm not saying, I want people to hear me very clearly. I'm not saying he should be a part of picking the next coach.
You're putting him on a throne. You're saying, King Cam, who would you like as your coach?
I'm not saying that. I'm not
All
saying.
hail Cam.
I'm not saying that Cam should be the buck stops on him. He should be the end all be all. No, what I am saying is this. You in your mind believe Cam is the guy for the next 10, 15 years. If indeed that is the case, what is wrong with allowing him to sit in on a small portion of what this big and extensive interview is going to be? If he just sits in on a small part, Titans fans, if y'all think that Cam sitting in on that part will hurt him because he could get the big head, y'all might as well get rid of him now. Because if the kid becomes really good, he's gonna get the big head anyway. So listen, let him sit in that little part. That's all. I'm not saying he need to pick the coach, people.
Let's get to some of your reaction. 615-737-1025. Brock in Nashville says, I agree with Derek. Even though Cam could end up not being the future, you have to function right now as though he is. That's how you've drafted and set up the organization up to this point. You need to have your quarterback on the same page as your head coach. Cam does not need veto power, but if I'm Mike Borgonzi, I value Cam's opinion.
Yeah, that's all you're doing is you're letting him know. You're starting the relationship off right. You're letting him know, hey, listen, again, ultimately, we have say. And when I mean we, I mean Borgonzi. Hopefully it just stopped with Borgonzi, but Brinkert, and obviously everything stops with Amy. But I'm just talking about head coach or whatnot. Ultimately, we are going to say yay or nay, but we're going to take into consideration somewhat what you have to say. Not to say what you're going to say is going to weigh one. It's going to be a heavy one way or the other. But at least I know and knows probably that sticky part of the trying to figure out if he's the guy. Maybe that one thing Cam said to you sort of was like, oh, okay. All right, let me think about that.
Are we putting a little too much into that, though? Like, I would be looking for, that might be a small part of what is the decision maker.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, too, how many teams do this?
Yeah.
How many teams do what Cam Ward is asking to do? I don't think very many.
One texter asked earlier if Caleb Williams sat in on the Bears interview process when the Bears ultimately hired Ben Johnson. A quick Google search, I could not find anything reporting that Caleb Williams had any sort of influence or say or presence in the interview process. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. I just didn't see it very quickly. Let's go to Rob, who's been waiting patiently. Rob, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you guys for taking my call. Derek, I always agree with you. I'll tell you what, but you know what? I just have to disagree on this here. Cam, to me, let me just go right off into it. Cam, to me, he first of all, to me, he hadn't got the respect enough to even ask what he's asking to me. Because to me, if you're going to be asking something like that, you got to make sure that people are respecting you and your opinion. That's like someone in a workplace with a college degree, and I experienced college degree, and they come into a leadership role over me when I've been doing the job for a long time, and then they trying to tell me what to do. Now I'm going to do the job, but I'm not going to respect you. I'm going to look at you like you little young whippersnapper. I've been doing this for a long time. And not trying to disrespect them, I'm going to still do the job. But I'm going to say this too. Cam, to me, I don't think he should even be asking that. His thing is he needs to be trying to figure out, am I going to be here next year? Because right now, the fans, the people have spoken out here. It's you guys and the other guys. Y'all the one trying to still, give him hope. But everybody out here, and trust me, most of the people out here, I mean, we're all seeing the same thing. And most people would say what I'm saying. Cam is not going to be that guy. So to me, I mean, for him to even ask to go in that locker room, it's totally insane. I mean, to go in there.
Thank you for the call, Rob.
I don't think it's insane, but I lean his way. He just hasn't earned the ability to do that. As much importance is on him. I just don't. I don't think that it just doesn't. It feels wrong to me.
If you say he hasn't earned, they respect him in that building.
Sure, they do. They respect other people too.
Let's make that one thing clear. They respect him in that building. Now, I'm sure, like Jeff, because Jeff said he's talked with Borgonzi and management, and he knows the direction that they want to go. And this is Jeff that has said all of this stuff. So, but with Cam, why wouldn't you, especially if they've brought him up to the office and I'm sure they have and said, and listen, this is what we're thinking about. If they have approached him as far as that, what they're thinking about and who's going to run this team or how this team's going to look, why shouldn't he be a part? Why shouldn't he be able to voice, I want to be a part, or, I would like to be a part. Now, I would like to be a part of the, not search, but when you bring them in, I would like to listen to the philosophy of what he's saying as far as offense. There's nothing wrong with that.
Quickly, David Jane sent me this tweet from Courtney Cronin, who covers the Bears for ESPN. This is back in December of 2024. Quote, Ryan Poles, who's the GM of the Bears, said he's not sure about the quote-unquote specific input Caleb Williams will have in the choice for the next Bears head coach, but that the candidate's plan for developing a young quarterback will be paramount in the hiring process. 615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your reaction. We have a lot of it. We'll get to it next. 615-737-1025. Tomorrow between noon and 3, Chase and Big Joe will have your chance to win a $100 Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa gift card, and you can qualify to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card. It's the 12 Days of Christmas here on 1025 The Game.
All right, let's tell you about Loan Pronto. Remember, the rapid equity loan. You can get cash out of your home's equity. You can get a better mortgage rate, especially if you got stuck with a high mortgage rate for your house a few years ago when the interest rates were high. Right now, the rates are as low as they have been in all kinds of time, years. They are getting people locked in at 4.99% fixed APR. So if that sounds like it's lower than what you've got, you need to call Loan Pronto right now. 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. You can get this going fast. It's a streamlined process. You probably won't even need an appraisal. No hard credit pull up front. And you'll be on better footing when 2026 comes around. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing later. NMLS 166-1781. APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. We are presented by Bax Homeworks. Remodeling done right. Get a free estimate right now at baxhomeworks.com. Titans.com. Talking Cam Ward saying earlier today that he hopes to be involved in the Titans head coaching search and process. Let's get to your reaction, 615-737-1025. One texter says, I have to go with Derek on this one. I'm a retired professor, and anytime we had faculty candidates interview with us, we always gave students an opportunity to talk to them. It was important to get student input to help gauge goodness of fit, quote unquote. Student perceptions informed, but did not determine our final hires. In fact, we sometimes chose someone different. Derek is right. Another texter says, I agree with D-Mays. Also, you want a successful marriage. I don't want a married at first sight situation. A coach who can see eye to eye with his quarterback and help him flourish. Jared in Spring Hill says, letting Ward sit in screams dysfunction. It should be interpreted that the higher-ups have Ward and everybody else's best interest in mind. What about Jeffrey Simmons, who's been here way longer and done way more than Ward? Isn't his opinion more resolute than Ward's? You want the Titans to get out of this funk, and you want a rookie quarterback who's been underwhelming to have influence. That's part of the funk.
I would give them input, but not sit in the interview. I think people are misunderstanding what we're talking about here. It's the GM's job to hire the coach. The GM can get input from anybody. You want input from Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward and probably other people in the leadership group. What do you think we need? What are we missing? What traits do we want in the coach? But sitting in the interview, that is the GM's job. I don't want too many cooks in the kitchen there.
It wouldn't be a lot of cooks. Yeah, Cam ain't cooking. He's
cooking.
Watching. He's just
You're giving him the growth. You're giving him the.
No, I didn't.
He's in the kitchen.
He's just in the kitchen.
The interviews are in the kitchen.
No. Again, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to me and my mama. Okay, go back to me and my mama's kitchen. All right,
Little Derek,
brothers, little Derek, little Carlos, little Willie, little Jack, everybody, little Yanni, little Alicia, little Al, everybody in mama's kitchen. Because when mama cooked, everybody was around. She let us look. Hey, what y'all want to eat? Okay, she let us watch. But she ain't telling us, oh, mama, you need to put some more pepper in that. No, I got this. I'm just letting you watch. Yeah, you were like, how did it taste last time? Oh, it had too much salt. Okay, let me take a little bit of salt off. Okay, how much? Okay. Y'all see what I'm doing, right? Yeah, okay.
She's giving you input.
Yeah, you give me a little input.
Cooking the meal.
Absolutely, and that's all I'm saying. Let little Cam come to the table. Little Ricky wanted to come to the table. Little Derek, they call me Ricky back home. Little Ricky wanted to come to the table. Let little Cam come to the table. He ain't got to cook the meal.
I would get your input, then I would send you to the TV room.
Have your mom say, Willie, little Willie,
send you outside.
Little Willie, taste this. Taste the sauce. Taste the sauce, little Willie. How does it taste? Little Willie be happy. Yes, it tastes good, mama. Then you run back outside. That's all you want is a little taste. I'm not asking you to cook the whole meal. Just give me a little taste of the sauce, man.
But that's not what Cam was asking. He was asking for a little bit more than a taste. He was saying he wanted to be in there.
Imagine just for a moment. By the way, Tim in Nashville says, why am I imagining little Derek as 8-year-old Derek's body with current Derek's bald head and beard? That's an image.
With his own breakfast cereal.
Exactly.
Remember we saw the cartoon of Derek eating the flakes.
Yes.
The loops.
Oh, man.
It's like going to a sushi restaurant, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you like to sit up at the bar and you can watch the sushi chefs make the rolls. You feel like you're a part of it. You're watching it. You're watching the process of your food being made. But you're not the one doing the cutting and the rolling and putting the ginger and the wasabi. I'm okay if Cam is sitting on the other side of the bar watching the process, but Cam's not leaning over and going, I don't like that tuna. Can you replace it with that tuna over there?
But I would like him to say, why do you put that kind of tuna on there instead of, because I want to know. I want to learn. It's not that I'm trying to tell you what to do. I'm just like inquisitive. Right? And I'm sure little Adam was inquisitive.
I still am.
Exactly. So what kind of, and you would ask, what kind of salmon is that?
What do you mean I would ask?
You use that, but why don't you use that one? I'm not saying you shouldn't.
Are you saying that I'm difficult?
No, you're not difficult, but you're inquisitive. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if you ask my wife, I might be difficult. Our friend B-Man, whose daughter waited 4.5 hours for In-N-Out last week, says, I've got a question for all three of you guys. Do you really think as of right now that Cam Ward is really going to be the guy? I don't. Here is where I stand on this hot button issue, okay? I like to think of this dispassionately, okay? I'm trying to be rational. I'm trying to be impartial. Here's where I am on this, B-Man. I don't know what the answer is. I am not prepared on December 17th at 3:50 p.m. Central Time to declare whether Cam Ward is or isn't going to be the guy. What I've seen so far this season, I'm underwhelmed. I mentioned this the other day. Derek and I were talking about this on Monday. I do think that Cam Ward's environment has some influence on his performance. That doesn't excuse Cam Ward for his performance, but his environment does have an influence on his performance. So, B-Man, this is probably not the answer you were looking for, but my answer is I don't know. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's going to be the guy or not, but I'm going to give him a chance to be the guy. Some people, on either side, whether and you said it perfectly, Adam, I think the other day, whether you are on the camp of Cam's going to make it or you're on the camp of Cam's not going to make it, I'm in the middle saying I'm waiting to see, because I don't think no one can give a true definitive answer whether he's going to make it or not because of the circumstances around him. I can see if he walked in there with a ready-made roster just coming off a playoff and we insert him there and he doesn't show anything. Okay, Houston, we may have a problem. But everybody knows that lives in this city and that is a Titans fan that is not the case. He's not walking into a situation. The organization knows it. He's not walking into a situation where it's ready-made and you can better assess his talent. His talent is being clouded by all of the stuff around him. Like Adam said, yes, he needs to play better, but look at the environment around him.
One texter says, completely surprised with Willie's view. If he's thinking hiring a head coach for your franchise is an hour-long interview where somebody asks questions and the other one answers and you're done at the end of the hour.
I don't understand what he's talking about.
I don't really understand it either.
Say it again.
At the end of the hour.
Completely surprised with Willie's view. If he's thinking hiring a head coach for your franchise is an hour-long interview where somebody asks questions and the other one answers and you're done at the end of the hour.
Oh, I guess he's.
Did I say that's what it is?
I don't think you said that.
Maybe he heard a snippet of it and it's
a multi-layered process.
Sure. Exactly.
There are multiple layers of these interviews. The coaches who are in the running for this job are going to be interviewed multiple times. So I think Derek's point is, well, maybe during the first interview with, let's just throw a name out there, Mike McCarthy. Maybe Cam Ward doesn't have any participation in the first Mike McCarthy interview. But maybe Mike McCarthy interviews well and is flown to Nashville. And as part of that interview, that second interview, that in-person interview, he spends some time with Cam Ward.
Yeah, you sit down with him. Sit down with Cam. It could be on the blackboard or on the whiteboard, as TD say. It could be that.
It is Whiteboard Wednesday.
Exactly.
For
Absolutely. So
John Gruden kind of.
Exactly. So it's just like we're communicating. I'm figuring out. I'm listening to your philosophy. You're seeing some things. It's just like it's almost like the interviews they do at the combine. The quarterback sits in there with the GM. I understand that, other players, but it would be sort of the same thing in a sense. Like, you're not a part of all of it, but if we bring Mike McCarthy in for a second interview or a third interview, now this is the time to insert Cam. And now, okay, do I need to possibly, tweak some things, McCarthy meaning, or whoever they bring in, to gear more toward Cam, because now I'm getting to talk to him. Before, I didn't get to talk to him. I didn't know. Now I'm getting to know what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he's good at, what he's not good at, because I'm sitting here talking to him. We're going over the board, whether they hire him or not. But that's a process, I think, that will benefit not only Cam, but the team.
I'm not opposed to that.
Okay. All right.
But that's not an interview. That's not part of the interview.
But we haven't hired him yet.
I think we agreed that a certain amount of input is smart.
Exactly.
But what I heard Cam say was he wanted to be all up in there. Is what I thought. That's what I heard. Am I wrong? He was aggressive.
What is Derek is corpse. Oh my
goodness. Teammates, don't be a child.
Oh my goodness.
Derek is corpsing live on the air at this very moment.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you for the bell. All right, take a
man.
breath. 615-737-1025. Is it just funny to hear Willie say all up in
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I get that. 615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your reaction on this, but coming up next, a Titans defensive player said something after the game on Sunday that caught a lot of people's attention. And then his coach responded to it. And I know Derek's got some thoughts on this, so we're going to talk about that coming up next. 615-737-1025. The Game Nashville Sports Network is your home for college football bowl games and the college football playoff, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Today on Sports Talk 830, starting in 5 minutes, it's Old Dominion versus South Florida in the Cure Bowl, followed by Louisiana versus Delaware and the Ventures Bowl. For a list of games carried on the Game Nashville Sports Network, visit thegamenashville.com/ballgames. D. Mace, Bingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Bingen here with you live at Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators will host the Carolina Hurricanes. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. David Janes is back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Wes on our text line says, I, for one, do not want to be all up in Mike McCarthy, Willie, but thank you for that image.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the beauty of radio.
Yes.
Yes.
You can conjure up anything in your mind.
But here's the thing, Willie, and I say this lovingly. You don't give off a hip vibe. I think you're a hip guy, but you don't give off a hip vibe. So when you say all up in, it sounds strange coming from you.
I'm full of surprises.
Hey,
Am
man,
I wrong,
Willie's
Derek?
cool. No, you're right.
Willie
But
is
he's cool.
Willie is sneakily cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
Sneakily.
Sneakily. If you spend a lot of time with Willie, you realize how cool he is.
Yeah.
But if you just watch him on TV or listen to him on our show, you might be like, what a nerd. But, you know, we love you, Willie. All right.
Maybe I need to reveal a few more points of coolness.
Well, had you heard of the term corpsing before I mentioned
No,
it about
I
Derek
had not.
Mason? Okay, well, now you have
Okay.
a new term, which means
I've
Derek,
expanded my horizons.
right. When you're
That's
watching,
what we do on this show.
When you're watching Saturday Night Live and someone breaks character, they're corpsing. That's what
Okay.
Derek Mason was
Okay.
doing. He was laughing so hard he couldn't get any words out. But anyway, okay. So last week, Titans lose on the road at San Francisco. And after the game, all of the reporters who were there, Teron Davenport, Paul Kaharski, among others, are sharing video clips from the post-game news conferences, interviews in the locker room. And I saw this from Paul Kaharski from Arden Key. Here's what Arden Key said after the game on Sunday, the loss to the 49ers.
We got to adjust. Shit, we don't adjust enough over here. We don't adjust. That's what it is. We don't adjust.
In what way? Like, you mean X and O's?
X and O's. We don't adjust.
So are you saying like that's something that the coaches need to do better, or are you?
We all need to do better on that.
Gotcha.
I like Teron at the end.
Gotcha.
Did you get it,
Yeah.
guys? They don't adjust.
I think what he was trying to say is
They don't adjust.
they don't adjust.
They don't adjust. Well, Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson was asked, I believe this was yesterday, to respond to Arden Key's comments about the coaching staff not adjusting. Here's what Denard Wilson said in response.
We adjust all the time. Sometimes you look at it in the second half. I mean, what other adjustments do we need? We lost a one-on-one ball in man coverage and we missed a tackle. And we didn't hinge on cover two. I don't know what else adjustments that we needed. At this point, everybody has an opinion, about everything. Everybody needs to stay in their lane and focus on what they need to focus on.
Denard Wilson telling Arden Key, stay in your lane. Derek, your thoughts on Key's comments and Denard Wilson's response?
Fight.
Yes, schoolyard bash.
All right. Arden Key, this is frustration. You can tell it's frustration. It's complete frustration. He's not playing well. The team's not playing well. Because I look at it, when Arden Key was playing well, adjusting wasn't a problem. Adjustments was not the problem. And listen, Arden Key haven't done something that other players haven't done. Other players have voiced their displeasure as far as the team or what's happening or what's not happening when they're in this losing sort of funk. Players done it at the beginning of the football, when football was invented, to now. They're going to continue to do it. Here's the problem with it. And when you're a bad team, the one thing you can't have is leaks and cracks and finger pointing and it's their fault and you can't have all that stuff. You're trying to get yourself out of this losing culture, but then again, the losing culture finds its way in the building no matter what. Again, I'm not saying that Arden Key, what he was thinking isn't wrong. Maybe they do need to adjust. I don't know. But as a former player, I understand a lot of this comes from frustration. But he's considered as one of the leaders on the team. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. He could have said that in a whole totally different way and still get that point across. For example, I've been a part of it, was a part of it for 15 years. And there were times where our offense was fluttering or whatnot. And the question was asked to me. And my thing was, we all need to get better. Everybody, we all need to adjust. We all need to get better. I don't start off with, we don't know how to adjust. That implies the coaches. It doesn't imply the players. Because the players only adjust to what the coaches do. The players can't go out there and make changes on their own. At least not majority of them can. I know a few guys, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, guys like that, they can tweak some things because they see something, but that's very far and few between. But when you have a situation like this, you have to be able to include everybody in this, because what he said directly pointed toward the coaching staff. That's why when TD said, "What do you mean?" He understood what he said. Like, damn, I said that. Now I can't really go into it. I just got to say, we just need to make some adjustments. And now Denard Wilson is on the defensive now.
Right. And you force him to have to answer this. Yes.
And then Arden Key, how much adjusting do you want this man to do? Y'all secondary is depleted.
It's a skeleton crew out there.
Our defense has been hurt.
He doesn't have many chess pieces.
Yeah,
out
he
there.
doesn't have many things to move. And this is why
it was not worth doing this.
It wasn't. And I remember, and I didn't even say it in public.
And he's not a good enough player to be saying that. Let's be honest. It's not. Jeffrey Simmons could probably say it. Arden Key does not need to be saying that. Arden Key is a okay pass rusher on a bad team. I just.
He's a solid player.
He's okay.
Arden Key is a solid player.
He's okay.
4 sacks this season.
Here's the thing. Again, I go back to me, and I remember saying something to Mike Heimerdick, and it wasn't even on through the newspaper, or we didn't have social media, so it wasn't all that. It was amongst us during the game, and he was like, "Okay, here, you call the plays. You tell me what I need to do. You tell me the adjustments." And I was like, you know what? I need to just shut up. I need to just shut up and go out there and do my job and try to make it better for all of us. Because that's a big responsibility right there. Yeah. And I don't know exactly all that he's dealing with. When you make that statement, you got to know all that the defensive coordinator is dealing with. Some defensive coordinators are just bad. But Denard Wilson has shown that if he got talent, he can work with it. He doesn't have that much talent. The team isn't talented.
He has no talent.
Exactly. So Arden Key, man, that was completely wrong.
Threw him under the bus.
Completely out of character of you. And you should go in the office and apologize to Denard Wilson. You should. Because one, that was out of character for you. I've never heard Arden Key say that. Now, if he has, my mistake. But I haven't heard Arden Key say anything of that nature. So that was out of character for him. So he needs to go into that room and apologize to the defense, to Denard Wilson, everybody, and just do his job and do it better. That's all. But I don't agree with how he did it.
Mike McCoy told reporters today that he addressed the comments from Arden Key after the game and said that there's an open door policy in the facility, and he encourages players to talk to coaches if they have an issue. I side with what Willie said, which is Arden Key does not have the stature to say these sort of things. Now, there might be people listening from the first hour who will say, well, doesn't that also apply to Cam Ward with the Titans head coaching search? Because he's the #1 overall pick, sure, but he's had an underwhelming rookie season.
This is not apples to apples.
Okay, why not?
Because you're talking about a specific coach, your defense, real time in the season That's totally different from allowing your franchise quarterback to sit in on a small portion of your interview, the second interview, or maybe even a third interview of a coach that you're thinking about hiring. That is totally different. You're comparing an apple to a plum, and there's no comparisons.
Look, as we mentioned,
I like them apples.
How dated is that reference, Willie?
You put yourself not back in it. You put yourself in the not.
Come on, Goodwill
section.
Hunting.
That
It's a good
reference
movie.
is 30 years old at this point.
What's wrong with that?
Dang it,
I
Willie.
mean, it doesn't really help you with the "I'm hip, I'm up to date" referencing a movie from 30 years ago. That's all I'm
Not
saying.
just any movie.
It is
It
a
was a great
fabulous
movie.
It's a great movie.
Absolutely. Right.
Willie, it's not
Okay,
your
but
fault.
finish
Willie,
your
Kids like
point.
the
it's not
retro,
your fault.
But finish your.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault, Willie. It's
Hug
not
it
your
out.
fault.
Hug it out. All right. So where were you? He doesn't have enough stature.
Right.
So you're saying you agree he should not have popped off there because he forces Denard Wilson. And look, all these guys might be out of here in about a month.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it's a moot point, but it does remind me of sort of the end of the Vrabel thing. Though some of this stuff started happening. It's hard when you're 2-11. It's not going to be all hunky dory in the locker room, right?
So that's why.
But Adam, finish your point on this.
My point is, and I think Skyler on our text line says it in a way that's a bit more colorful, and I'll clean it up here. He goes, Arden Key effing sucks. He's our starting edge rusher. He's not an NFL starting edge rusher, a rotational piece at best. And if I'm not mistaken, Arden Key is not under contract for next season, right?
I don't think so.
So perhaps he feels like, hey, I'm not going to be here in a month. Let me just say what I'm going to say, and I'll go somewhere else.
But that stuff reverberates to other organizations or coaches. And what if Denard Wilson goes to another team, and maybe that the other team thought about bringing Denard Wilson? Like, nah, I don't want to deal with that. Don't bring him in. I don't want to deal with that. So again, you don't want to burn your bridges. And I'm not saying that Arden Key. I think that was out of character for Arden Key. I know 100% it was out of frustration, because when TD followed up with it, it was almost like, damn, I said, it's just we just don't adjust. Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to move on.
May I ask you a question,
Yes,
as
go ahead.
someone who's been in the locker room for so long? How much adjusting actually happens at halftime?
Not much. It's a lot of times because you only got a couple of minutes.
Right.
You know, guys are coming in, using the bathroom, getting IVs, getting, injuries dealt with. And so it's only a quick moment you get with the coordinator. Some guys don't even talk to the coordinator. You may get a minute with the coordinator. Usually he's with the quarterback saying, hey, listen, we may come back to this play. We saw them play this defense on this particular down. We may come back to this play, or we may go to a play we did last week. You remember this play? Yeah, everybody remembers it. Okay, good. We may go back to this. But it's not like, oh, man, they've been doing it. We need to change this. No, it's just doing things better in the second half that we didn't execute in the first half. I'm not running a whole new offense, a whole new scheme. It's just, okay, that third down, that third and 12, we called a corner out. Okay, we're probably looking to run the post on that one. Same concept, looking to run a post on that because they're playing cover 2, and maybe we can get the seam on that post. That's what same play, but that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a complete scrap and say, oh, we need to adjust and do all this. So Arden Key, when he says adjust, what do we mean? Because I know coaches go in there and say, okay, this is what we're thinking about tweaking a little bit, or we're going to play this on this down instead of what we did before because we think they're going to try to go to that play again.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. With all of the injuries at safety, Mike Brown is out, Kevin Winston is out, Xavier Woods is out. At one point in the game on Sunday, I can't recall the player's name, and I apologize. But wasn't he, and this is no disrespect, wasn't he like a Pizza Hut delivery driver or something like that?
He wasn't in the league for a minute. I know who you're talking about.
That was an anecdote that was shared
yes.
on the broadcast. My point is that it is a skeleton crew out there for the Titans defense for the remainder of the season. So Denard Wilson, and who knows if Denard Wilson will be around at the end of the season, the new coach will probably bring in his own defensive coordinator. If it's a defensive-minded coach, he may be calling the plays on defense. But I have respect for what Denard Wilson has been attempting to do with so few NFL caliber players at his disposal.
That's like me after the game, after we're down to our third quarterback, saying we need to do something different. We need to do this. We need to, dude. We're down to our third quarterback. What more can we do? Like
some of these guys can't know all the plays. Like if you had a lot of
only so
things
many
to adjust to.
fronts we can run based upon the coverage we got to play, and that's what I think. I think Arden Key, once he said it, he probably thought, yeah, there's not much. But then after it all got out, he probably was like, yeah, there's not much he can do. I mean, damn, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But then again, he probably was like, I'm going to double down. People are doubling down nowadays. He probably doubled down and said, you know what? Yeah, he needs to adjust. But again, how much adjusting can that defense do when they're on a skeleton crew? That rhymes now.
That was good.
Yeah,
one person says Arden Key did throw shade at the Vrabel administration about not holding guys accountable and making adjustments as well. I vaguely recall this.
Oh man, I'm trying to think.
I'll have to go back and find it. I vaguely recall what the texter is referring to, but I don't have time to look up for it. I don't have time to look it up right now, but we will get to that. 615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Arden Key's comments after the San Francisco game and Denard Wilson's response. 615-737-1025. But coming up next, we're here at Bridgestone Arena. There was I would call it a big announcement, a moderately big announcement yesterday that Nick Saban is now going to be a minority owner in these Nashville Predators. But I'm wondering about another team in town, because I read a column from our friend Gentry Estes of the Tennessean about what the Titans should do with Nick Saban in town. We'll discuss that next. 615-737-1025. We do have a pair of Music City Bowl tickets to give away. We will be giving away those tickets after the upcoming segment. So if you want a chance to win those Music City Bowl tickets, be listening at the end of the following segment, the upcoming segment. I will give you the trivia question in the queue to call. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. Vingan and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you live at Bridgestone Arena. Predators versus Hurricanes tonight at 7 o'clock. Puck drop at 7 o'clock. Pregame at 6 with Max Hers right here on 102.5 The Game. And speaking of those Predators, they announced yesterday that Nick Saban has purchased a minority stake. Yes, that Nick Saban, not the other Nick Saban you know. That Nick Saban has purchased a minority stake in the franchise. By the way, let's see here. Dave on our text line says, there's got to be a song we can come up with about Nick Saban coming to town. I bet you guys can come up with something good. You better.
Willie, you cut
Hold on. You better not pout. You better not cry. Nick Saban owns part of the Preds, so quit asking,
Not bad for off the top of your head. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Remember that interview he did on the sideline? I'm not telling you, so quit asking. Yes, There's the ites per 60 are going to be through the roof. As
we're going to be charting that analytic graph.
Yes, the ites per 60. So I was reading a column in the Tennessean by friend of the station, Gentry Estes, and Gentry focused in on part of the quote from Nick Saban in the news release. Being involved in a sports team in Nashville has always been a goal. And Gentry thought, well, Nick Saban's coaching career is over. I don't think he wants to be considered to be the Titans head coach. And look, Nick Saban, he's got a lot going on. He's on College Game Day. He's a pitchman for nearly everything now. He's all over TV. He pitches paint. He pitches Airbnb or Verbo or one of those things. He's all over the place. Insurance. He's got enough money. He's got his hands full, right? But Gentry Estes of the Tennessean writes, quote, Titans owner Amy Adams Strunk shouldn't try to lure Saban as coach. She should offer him the opportunity and a whole heap of money to run her franchise, to pull it out of the gutter, hose it down, and restore its self-respect as it approaches a new stadium, and she should start trying right this minute. The job could be whatever Saban desired it to be. He could hire the next coach. He could decide who he wanted to keep or not as GM or whatnot for day-to-day decisions and scouting. He could oversee what he wanted and delegate what he wanted. He could even keep doing College Game Day on Saturday mornings, just one Band-Aid. No longer would we look at the Titans and wonder who's calling the shots.
So he's saying he could do all this and be part owner of the Predators? Or is he telling him, isn't this a little late to be proposing this?
Maybe in addition to those
How
responsibilities.
many are there? Some clone Nick Sabans that I'm not aware of?
Well, let me
It
ask
all
you.
depends on what his.
I mean, he's not 50 years.
role.
I mean, he's not.
He's not a spring chicken.
First of all, we don't know
How many projects can a guy have at this stage of his career?
Right. Well, first of all, we don't know how much of the Predators Nick Saban owns. All we know, it is a minority stake. We don't know the percentage. We may never know the percentage. So we don't know if it's 2%, 5%, 10%. We don't know that. And he can still do College Game Day on Saturdays. And Gentry even acknowledges in the column, look, it's a sleepy Tuesday in December, and his mind started to wander. But I think his point, at least how I interpreted it, was this. There is a crisis of confidence in Titans leadership, right? People around here distrust Amy Adams Strunk and Chad Brinker, and by extension, Mike Borgonzi, because he's part of the brain trust now. He just got here, but he's part of it now. And that Brinker stank is on Mike Borgonzi for a lot of people. Nick Saban is a proven winner, and the idea of Nick Saban, as Derek knows full well, the idea of Nick Saban, a no-nonsense guy who has won a lot, the idea of him being the perhaps face of your front office would give a lot of people more confidence in the direction of your franchise.
Okay, he's been out there for 2 years. They had every opportunity to do it. I don't know. I have no idea if they didn't do it. For all I know, they may have called Nick Saban. But I just find this interesting timing. Like, he's made this decision.
Yeah.
So is he going to do all this and be part owner of the Predators?
To me, if
do business people not have their hands
I'm
in
sure
multiple
they do.
things?
Yeah, they do. I'm not sure what his function and role here will be as minority owner. I don't know. And like you said, Adam, they may not ever say what his actual, if his day to day or whatever his function is going to be as part minority owner. But what I would assume is if he was to take a job with the Titans, say if they made him, advisor, because teams have advisors that, don't work, necessarily, was affiliated with the team. An advisor, maybe he was affiliated with another team, but we brought you as an advisor to the offense and whatnot. But if they were to bring him in as an advisor, knowing what I know, and it's not like I know a lot about Nick, it would almost have to be he couldn't do the game day stuff because you wouldn't want to be here every day, especially a franchise like the Titans where they are. Wouldn't you want to be here
if you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if that would even be, if you're asking me to stop doing game day, which they're probably paying him a lot of money, you're going to have to compensate him a whole lot to stop doing that. Then you got to ask Miss Terry, can he come back in and do all this stuff? So there's a lot of things where, for me, it would almost be him coaching again in a sense. And if that's the case, you might as well hire him as a coach.
Gentry writes, quote, "The Titans need that kind of presence. They desperately crave an authority figure who the team needs more than he or she needs the team. By that, I mean Saban would be able to tell Strunk unvarnished truths without fearing reprisal from the owner's whims."
I thought that was Brinker that's supposed to be doing that, like that middle person.
In theory.
Yeah. So then would that put Brinker out of a job? I mean, I think everybody wouldn't mind. The fans, they're probably like, yeah, Saban, put him in Brinker's place.
Well, now that is a little different to me. If you're just asking him to look, if you got time, can you take a look at our franchise? Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. That might be interesting. But like you said, it's like if you're in, then it's going to take a big commitment. He's just made a commitment. Team. And look, we might find. I think in the coming weeks, Nick Saban's going to explain more about what his role with the Predators is going to be, and what he would like to do. We just had some great banter with Barry Trotz, just speculating, just saying he's enjoyed talking with the coaches. He's enjoyed talking like coach to coach, process to process, and he would love to use him as a sounding board. Mm-hmm. And that could be a really good tool for the Predators to use. But, I mean, I love the creativity, but Nick Saban's been out there for a couple years. I don't know that they haven't already tried this. I don't know that they have any desire. Did Nick Saban look around? Hey, I'd love to be in Nashville. Looked at the Titans and said, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could have been going on.
Thomas in Hendersonville says, it worked out so well for him. It's worked out so well for Saban as a coach in the NFL that he left town in the middle of the night to run back to college. Nick Saban is a wonderful coach and person. However, his experience in the NFL showed us that his method did not work.
No, it didn't show us. Just look at it.
And that was such a long time ago as well, right?
Listen,
that was a long time.
And he was right. He wanted Drew Brees. They went and got somebody else. And see how Drew Brees' career went. See how the other guy's career went. I would have left too. I would have left too and went back to college. So I don't think that he was in the NFL, and I think he left on his own. Like, I don't want to have to deal with this. I am leaving and going back to college. I'm sure if he said, I want to coach again, I'm sure there'll be people probably knocking on his door in the NFL saying, hey, we'd like to bring you in for an interview.
One texter, Justin, says, I would pay him to advise and go from there.
Yeah, I can see that. But is that all he want to do?
Does he want to accept being paid?
Exactly.
Like, does he have the time? Does he have the desire to do that?
Should we be like,
he just committed. We just got this news.
Hey, Barry, wrap this up. I got to go meet Amy on the other side.
Right. I mean, that's like he's got a stake in the Predators. Like he's somewhere in there.
I'm just imagining Nick Saban on the phone. On one line is Amy Adams Strunk. On the other line is Barry Trotz. And he's talking to Barry. He goes, hold on, I've got to be on hold. I've got to, take this call. And takes the call and goes, ugh, sorry, Amy. Barry, He's such a bear and forgets to actually hit the right button. Nick, it's still Barry. Oh, God. You're breaking up.
Miss Terry, help!
Yes.
I meant Barry Manilow.
Yes.
Barry Manilow. I was just listening to it.
Who doesn't love Barry Manilow? I bet Willie loves Barry
Oh,
Manilow.
of course.
Love,
Like,
appreciate.
appreciate. There we go.
Yeah.
Love is a
It's
strong
okay.
word.
It's okay.
Can't you imagine
Nothing wrong
Willie
with it.
doing some Copacabana at
No,
karaoke?
no, that's not
No?
happening. No.
No?
You ain't gonna do Copacabana?
Not that. No, definitely not.
At the
I got
Copa.
other songs I go to.
Kevin from Smyrna says it's fine as long as I don't have to hear Roll Tide on the Jumbotron at Preds games.
You know, sometimes they'll play the Rocky Top, and you know that doesn't fly with some of the people in the arena.
I can
It does
understand
with
why.
a large cross section.
Yeah, but there's a faction of people.
So if you're
there
going to
right
go
now.
Roll Tide, then you're going to get the same dynamic. It gets
Exactly.
mixed.
It may even be worse.
Oh yeah.
But generally speaking, and I think this was part of Gentry's thought process as he wrote the column, which I enjoyed. The Titans need that front-facing person who can inspire confidence in the fan base. We have talked about this ad nauseum. Amy Adams Strunk is uncomfortable in public settings. She is not going to address reporters. She's not going to make comments unless it's in a completely controlled environment. And Chad Brinker still has connections to the previous regime with Rand Carthon. There's a lot of distrust in Chad Brinker and his ability to help turn this team around. Mike Borgonzi is in his first year, and we're still feeling him out. But as I said before, I think some of the distrust in Strunk and Brinker has rubbed off on Borgonzi a little bit, even if that's unfair, just because of his association. He's guilty by association.
It's that contact
almost.
smoke.
That's right. So I like the idea of, is there someone out there who can be the public face of the Titans front office who, when he or she holds news conferences or whatnot, Titans fans can go, yeah, I trust what he or she is saying because they've got a track record or whatnot. And I think that was the point with Saban.
No, and you know, the article was a good article, really good article, and I read it through, and I understand what you know Estes was trying to say, and yeah, it's a Tuesday, and the news cycle is slow, and they say it's a what if, or man, I would like to see that, or could that happen? And I think, you know, realistically, say if Coach Saban didn't have any affiliation as far as ownership with the top wing with the Predators, would that? I think if the Titans said we were bringing in, or if it just got out that Nick Saban could be a part of the, I think fans would love it. I think fans would be clamoring. They would be. I mean, you would hear everybody. Right move, great move, great move. They need to have him on staff somehow, some way. So, I mean, from that standpoint, he's right. I mean, it would, you know, from the standpoint of credibility.
Mm-hmm. Credibility is the key word.
Exactly, and respect. I think everybody, even before he walks in that building, everybody respects him. They know the great job that he's done as a coach. And they know he can change a program. So if indeed that was a possibility, then I think the fan base would love it.
Sean on our text line says, I told my coworker, a Bama alum, the Saban Preds news, and without missing a beat, got a roll Preds from him. One texter says, the answer is Derek Mason. Are you interested in the job? No, because that would mean you wouldn't be here anymore. And that would make us sad.
Gosh.
615-737-1025. All right. It is time to give away our next pair of Music City Bowl tickets. Tennessee versus Illinois at Nissan Stadium on December 30th, and you've got to earn it. So I've got another trivia question for all of you, and you need to be the first person at 615-737-1025 to call and give the correct answer to David James. So Tennessee, again, in the Music City Bowl, their fourth appearance, if I am not mistaken. but Tennessee is not the all-time leader in appearances in the Music City Bowl. Which team has made the most all-time appearances in the Music City Bowl? If you know the answer, call right now, 615-737-1025. The first person who calls David Janes at that number with the correct answer will win a pair of tickets to the Music City Bowl. Again, 615-737-1025. Which team has made the most all-time appearances in the Music City Bowl? And it is not Tennessee.
Tennessee has been there. This will be the fourth.
This is the fourth time. I'll give you one more hint.
No more hints. No more hints.
Fine. We'll give another hint if nobody gets it during the break. Which team has made the most all-time appearances in the Music City Bowl? 615-737-1025. Willie Donnie, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick 102.5 the game. Come on, Willie.
No.
Okay,
This is
fine.
I would select a few other Barry Manilow songs before this one.
We made it through the rain.
That one's not bad.
Okay.
Better than this. This one is just a little hokey. Yeah.
You think it's too mainstream?
No, not too
Commercial,
mainstream.
too
Just a little
commercial?
hokey. A little hokey.
Yes.
Barry's still he's still
going.
He's going.
He's kicking.
Where were we? We were on the road.
Las Vegas, probably.
No, it wasn't Las Vegas. Where were we?
Branson, Missouri.
No, the Preds. We were on the road, and they were saying like sold out shows. Barry Manilow's coming, and I forget where we were. Where were we? Maybe Florida. Maybe it was South Florida, Sunrise. I think.
Well, I think a lot of his fans probably
reside down
South
there.
Florida, yes.
If you watch Seinfeld, that's
Yes. David, did we get a winner?
We did. We got Alec Fernandez. He won the tickets.
All right. Congratulations, Alec, the winner of the Music City Bowl tickets. The answer to the trivia question, which team has made the most all-time appearances in the Music City Bowl? The answer, Kentucky.
Yes.
Kentucky has made 6 appearances in the Music City Bowl.
They've done pretty well.
2 and 4. 2 and 4 all time.
Yeah.
They're only 2 and 4 in the Music City Bowl?
2 and 4 all time in the Music City Bowl.
I do remember the first
pretty
one.
good.
I remember the first one they came to it was the first one in the new stadium. The first Music City Bowl was at Vanderbilt Stadium. Brutal weather. And speaking of musicians, I mean, it was like freezing rain, snow. I mean, bad out there. It was packed because it was Alabama, Virginia Tech, 2 great fan bases. And Steve Winwood was performing at halftime. And you want to talk about braving the elements. It was nasty out there. And he was unfazed, man. He was pounding away at the keyboard. He was a pro.
Hey,
that was good stuff. But then Kentucky the next year played Syracuse in the Music City Bowl. Syracuse won, and the MVP was
Keith Bullitt.
If you missed your chance to win those Music City Bowl tickets, we'll have a pair tomorrow and a pair on Friday. So be listening the rest of the week. We're giving away a pair each day on the program. Congratulations to the winners thus far. Ron on our text line said, why would the Titans send John Gruden a box of Titans gear? Are the Titans trying to woo him? Well, Ron, I will tell you this. I think this is sort of a thing now. I just scrolled through John Gruden's X account. He's also received packages from the Washington Capitals, the Green Bay Packers, and Army. So I think teams just send him stuff. I don't know
What's
why.
in the package?
Like gear,
shirts,
shirts, and hats, and
shoes,
stuff like that.
Just because?
I don't
or
know.
Or is this a trend?
Just because.
He's Gruden, man.
He's John Gruden. So
Memphis sent him stuff. Tennessee has sent him stuff.
Yeah. So John Gruden, he's playing the game, man. He's getting that free stuff.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He ain't got to buy no more.
He doesn't have any stuff. Like he's been a coach for a million years. Like he's got to have some good stuff. Is he trading stuff back? That's what we used to do at basketball camp. We traded our stuff.
He probably got it all in a warehouse.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's all a racket.
Yeah. So Ron, I don't think you have to read too much into the Titans sending a bag of swag, a box of swag, whatever, to John Gruden. It's a trend on social media. I can't say that I follow John Gruden too closely. I also wouldn't want John Gruden to be anywhere near the Titans. We talked about this with very, very, very early on in the head coaching process, like the day after the Titans fired Brian Callahan. I said, no thank you to John Gruden, because people were texting in, John Gruden, John Gruden, John Gruden. I said, no thank you. He's been out of the league too long. I would prefer that John Gruden not be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. But I don't think – do you think any teams with head coaching vacancies will seriously consider John Gruden? Do you think he'll get interviews?
Oh, man, I'm not sure either way. Isn't he still in a lawsuit with the
I
NFL?
believe that is correct.
So I'm not sure if any team would.
But isn't Brian Flores also still in the lawsuit with the NFL? And
Yeah,
he's going to
so.
get interviews, isn't he?
Yeah.
But Brian Flores has been a coach in the league. It's been a long time since
I do
John
feel
Gruden
like
was a coach
John
in the league.
Gruden has paid a price.
Of course.
I mean, it's been a long time. So he's paid a big penalty. So I think from that standpoint, if you really wanted him,
Yeah.
I think you would be okay PR-wise if you said, look, what's happened in the past, he's paid for it, he's dealing with it. It's probably up to John Gruden to say, this is what I've done. I've learned from it, all that. And I think he could be a coach. Now, head coach at this point, his last go-round didn't go very well with the Raiders, so he's pretty far removed from success.
Yeah.
But he's He's an intriguing guy. Like I wonder. Like I've always wondered if somebody in the major media would bring him back as an announcer because he's such a character.
He seems like he's doing his own thing now as far
Yeah.
as media stuff.
Getting packages for people.
Yeah, getting packages for people. I mean, I wouldn't. We talked about Coach Saban and being a consultant. I mean, Gruden could fall into that same sort of bucket.
One texter, Ben says, didn't Mike McCarthy take a long break before he came back? No, he's
gone for a year.
He was gone for a year. His last season in Green Bay was 2018. He started coaching the Cowboys in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
John Gruden hasn't coached in the NFL since 2021. It's actually more recently than I thought, but he only coached 5 games that season for the Raiders. But he was out of the league for 10 years. He went from his final season in Tampa was 2008, went to Oakland in 2018, then coached the Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders from 2018 through part of 2021. But he was fired because of the controversy.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, nah.
Pass on that one.
I'll pass
I like
on that
Gruden
one.
too,
Yeah.
but
Let's quickly touch on this. I think we're going to get more into this tomorrow in the larger conversation about quarterbacks, but the Miami Dolphins benching Tua Tagovailoa.
Wow.
And starting Quinn Ewers on Sunday. Listen to the financials of this situation for the Dolphins, courtesy of ESPN.com. So Tagovailoa has $54 million in guaranteed compensation next season, plus another $3 million guaranteed of his 2027 salary if he remains on the roster on March 13th. The Dolphins will eat more than $99 million in dead cap if they release him this coming offseason. That number drops to $45 million if they're able to trade him, but a suitor seems unlikely considering his contract.
You stuck.
Yes.
You stuck.
Well, we saw the Broncos do this with Russell Wilson. What was that number? 80, 85?
Yeah.
And this would be 99?
You just got to deal with it, man. You hope. And it's not like he's a bad quarterback, but he's just not worth he hasn't played what the price tag says he should be playing. Because, I mean, and then a lot of it could be, they talked about this earlier. I was watching First Take. Those concussions, man, I think they've I think they really have taken a toll on him. I don't think he's the same player.
The question is, what is the end game? Like, can he bounce back? Will this help him just taking a step back? Because this is, again, it has me thinking, Dolphins? Not going anywhere? Just let's see what the kid can do. Let's just throw him out there. Nothing wrong with that, but he probably doesn't give you a better chance of winning than Tua, as bad as Tua has been.
Well, the Dolphins
the
have
question
been
is,
accused
what's the
of
record?
Openly tanking in the past.
Well, it got them in a lot of hot water. Probably should have gotten them in more hot water than it did. But
maybe not accused, maybe actually doing.
I mean, he put it on there, the email or whatever.
Yes.
It was there.
Yes, that's true.
But what is the reclamation project? Because are they going to make a coaching change? I don't know. Like, I'd love to know how you get him back, because he has been pretty good, and you've got a lot invested in him.
I know that there are Titans fans out there wish casting this idea of Robert Saleh as Titans head coach with Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator. And if the Dolphins fire McDaniel, but who knows? But Quinn Ewers starting, the report from ESPN says the Dolphins have not made it clear whether Tua is going to back up Quinn Ewers or if he's going to be deactivated. By the way, the other quarterback on the roster, Zach Wilson. So Quinn Ewers, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Yes. Quinn Ewers, Zach Wilson.
The Zach Wilson.
The Zach Wilson.
Man,
Quinn Ewers is ahead of him.
This is for Miami, for the organization. That's big news, man. That is like that decision that they're making. It could be really, really costly. From this thing, you owe this man. Like, what is your plan with Tua? Like, you just benched him. You just benched the guy that you're paying $40 million to
for a 7th round rookie.
Like, I don't care what he says, his pride has taken a hit, a massive hit, unless he's dealing with injuries. But then they would have said something in regards to that. But how do you, like, as an organization, I'm not saying you can't come back from that because winning cures everything, or at least mask it. But man, that's tough. Like, you put him back in there. What if he doesn't play well?
I'm not sure you can put him back in there.
Not this season.
No.
You're going to have to put him back in there if you can't trade him.
Or you eat the money. You eat the dead money.
Damn.
That would be a lot of money
man.
to eat.
That is, woo.
And are you sure he's washed up? Like, but the health thing,
yes,
that's the concern for me. Like the health, like the concussions that he's had. I think he's listen. Has he been worth the $100 and something million that they know? They've had a bunch of injuries too. But man, when you bench him, gosh, that's saying a lot.
615-737-1025. Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on Cam Ward wanting to be involved in the Titans head coaching search. We'll talk to him about the Heisman Trophy presentation fallout and Diego Pavia's behavior. I'm sure he has some thoughts on that as well. We'll get into all of that with our friend Hutton coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are presented by Bax Homeworks. Remodeling done right. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We are live at Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators will host the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. David James is back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We await Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick, and when he joins us, he will be brought to you by a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs. And the Predators and Hurricanes, Willie, both teams entered this game having won 7 of 10. Now, one of the Predators' 3 losses in that stretch of 10 is against these Hurricanes about a week and a half ago. And that game got out of hand very quickly.
The Canes jumped all over the Predators in the first period. The Predators took multiple penalties, and they never recovered, really. It was 3-0 at the end of the first. And it was just Carve City. They just carved them up. It's the most lopsided game that they've had on the wrong side since they started playing better, right? The low point was the 8-3 loss to the Panthers here. And that game against Carolina in Raleigh was a painful reminder of that, where they just weren't ready to play. I think they would admit it. So that's why I think this is a really intriguing game tonight. This is one of the best teams in the league. It's one of the best teams in the league for over the last several years, in the regular season especially. They always bring it, the Canes, so you have to play your best. They will smother you. They give up the fewest shots in the league. So if you're not playing fast, playing quick, making good decisions, they'll eat you up. But I want to see if the Predators can build on some of the good things that they've been doing. I think they feel like they've got something better in them. They were able to beat Colorado here last week, so great test tonight.
The Hurricanes are the top team in the Eastern Conference with a 21-9-2 record. But let's go to our friend Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. Hello, Hutton. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. I don't say this often enough. Willie, you do a fantastic job, by the way. I want to say that.
Well, thank you, Hutton.
Yeah, man. I enjoy I enjoy watching the broadcast.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate it.
Man. I've never said
that's
that.
That's why I don't watch it when Willie's not doing it. I don't watch it.
Hey, man, and that was that the blowout game or not? I forget. Was that the 7-2 game that you didn't do?
The game we didn't do was the shootout win over Colorado.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, I missed that one.
Of course, it was a good game, right?
One. Yeah, missed a good one.
Yeah, man. No, I want to give praise where praise is due. Like legit. That's the one sport I don't think I could do play-by-play for. I really don't.
I will say, when you turn on FanDuel Sports Network, it's going to be impossible to get Willie's head into frame after what Hutton just said.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind if you're watching the game at 7 o'clock. Why is Willie's head so big?
Hey, why it only shows Willie's nose?
Yes.
Talk to producer, director, warn him.
Yes. Thank God.
Pan back.
And Adam, Mace, you guys do a fantastic job as well.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
So let's start with the question of the day. You probably heard Cam Ward's comments, sort of. Now, he was asked about it, right? He didn't just unsolicited throw that in there. But I was a little bit surprised how enthusiastically he said, oh, yeah, I want to be involved in the process. So if you were in charge, how much input would you give him?
Does he think this is college? I mean that's I'm listening to his thoughts, but I mean, the way it came across to me was he wants to be involved throughout the entire process.
What was my term, Adam?
The wrong way?
What was my term? He wants to be all up in there.
All up in there. He wants to
There
be
you go.
all up in there. I tried to remove that from my memory.
Yeah.
That's why it took me a moment to remember.
Derek, I mean,
So
you didn't go through many coaching
D-Mace and I
changes
had
in
a pretty
pros,
good debate on this, Hut. So tell me how you would use him.
Okay, I don't fault him for wanting to be a part of the process. He should not expect to. That's just. I mean, he's the number 1 overall pick, but I have an incomplete grade right now, so I don't even know if these guys that are making the hire know how to make the hire. I don't want the rookie quarterback doing it. That's just where I am on. I hesitate. I want players' input if they're the franchise quarterback. I don't need them in the room or being a part of like the initial. So the way I understand how this goes, all right, is like they'll do some preliminary interviews They'll narrow it down. They'll then bring in people for in-person interviews. Then you narrow it down to like 3 or 4, and you bring them in, and that's when they'll meet the owner, right, for the second interview. Again, that's kind of how it went last time with the committee. I tend to think during that process, you're going to go to the cafeteria or something. You'll go get, you'll want to talk to, of course you want to talk to Cam Ward. But it's not like I'm going to Cam Ward and saying like, hey man, who do you want? That's just, I can't get on board with that aspect. And maybe I'm overplaying it some, but Willie, I'm leaning toward what you're saying is he answered the question truthfully. I don't blame him for it, but it doesn't mean I have to give him that much like sway over how I'm going to address the future of the franchise. And that's the coach. The coach is coming in to change what we've been seeing, not just elevate one player. Vrabel was brought in to help Mariota, and instead they went with a different quarterback that elevated them to an offense and an overall team that worked with the coach and did some great things with the run game as well. You guys know what I'm saying. Cam Ward's a huge piece, but it's not like they can't move on from him if he's not good. They'll have to.
As they would with the head coach.
Oh, no doubt. Hey, no doubt. The coach that Cam Ward may not want this job.
And he liked Callahan, and they got rid of him. My thing, Hutton, was because I think when that is being said, I think people envision him sitting in from day one, sitting in on the whole 4 or 5 hour interview and being a part of that. My thing was
he's not giving the tour of the facility.
Exactly. My thing was, okay, if you believe in your heart, if you believe that Cam is a franchise quarterback, you had to have believed because you drafted first overall. I don't think you drafted first overall and said, well, I don't think he's going to be our quarterback in the next 2 or 3 years. So we're going to be back on this carousel again. I think if you understand that he's your guy, after you've narrowed it down to 2 pieces, hey, let's say 2.
Okay.
And you've brought those.
That's not what he said, though.
No, right? No, I know that's not what he said.
Okay.
But my when I look at the whole thing, when I look at it from 15,000 feet, my thing is when you narrow it down to 2 to 3 people and you've had them in there once already, you bring them in for that second one. Now this is an opportunity where I can sit my quarterback in on philosophy of offense and how do you expect to, use Cam? What is some of his strength? And that's what Cam said, trying to figure out the strength and weaknesses, things he liked, things he may not like, or things the coach can tell him he needs to get back. That's the part that I'm talking about, because if you don't develop Cam, you gonna lose your job. They're plain and simple.
Let me say this.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, real quick, I want you to finish this. But let me jump in and say, I don't want to hire a coach who won't go speak to Cam Ward.
Yeah, you're right about that too. So my thing is, you bring him in at that moment. Not to say he has to be a part of the whole 4-hour interview, but there may be a 30-minute period where you're talking about scheme and everything else. Oh, let me go get Cam. Boom. All right, go get Cam. Now we're talking scheme. We're talking what you like, what you don't like, how you see it. That's the part that I'm talking about. And maybe that would be best for an organization that hasn't gotten it right the last couple of years, to bring your quarterback, your friend, who you think is your franchise quarterback, bring him in and let him sit in on the philosophy of the offense, how you want to run this offense. That was my argument, not to say he needs to be in there from day one. Maybe he wants to, but I wouldn't advise that. But I would say, yeah, it would be. I think it would be good. I don't think it would hurt. I think it would be good if he sat in when we're talking about scheme.
And I think it would be great for the coaching candidate to want to include Cam Ward and get to know him before he takes the gig. But let me also add, Borgonzi was hired, and then Borgonzi, he was hired based on his philosophy, his vision. I mean, again, they went through the process of the general manager, who they say is making the decisions as a general manager. I went with his vision, who then identified Cam Ward. So I want Borgonzi making this decision. Again, if we're going to go to the links that I heard from Cam, and again, I don't blame Cam. He's whatever. Of course, I mean, if I'm a quarterback in the NFL, I've got the power, dude. Like, we know that. Okay, right now, number 1 overall, he's the future. He knows it. Despite anything we've seen right now, he knows. Unlike Will Levis, he knows he's the dude right now. I don't blame him for wanting that input, but the input that matters should be Borgonzi.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's the guy we hired, quote unquote, to then identify the quarterback that they're bringing in for the job of the future. And I mean, it's Borgonzi who's invested in Cam Ward. I would leave it up to him to identify the coach that he wants. He didn't hire Callahan, is what I'm saying.
But you're always, and we know this in this game, you're always linked. He's going to be linked to Cam Ward. Borgonzi is. He's going to be linked to
no
Cam
doubt.
Ward. So if that is indeed the case, I need to talk to my quarterback. Again, not about everything in the hiring process, but we do need to have a conversation with whoever we're going to hire or think about hiring as far as philosophy or as far as scheme. Yeah, he needs to be in. I would think he needs to be in on that portion of the meeting, because to me, at that point, I think you're getting to, okay, we're almost close to signing this guy.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. Like the pitch from the coach has to include Cam Ward.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like if you're when John Robinson was hired, his whole interview process was about malarkey. I mean, they were going through a coaching candidacy, but like kind of knew that Malarkey was going to be the coach right after that interim season. I mean, that wasn't a secret, even though he tried to keep it one. Like, let me also add too. Did Caleb Williams make the hire in Chicago?
No, he
not
didn't.
To our knowledge.
Not to our knowledge.
Okay.
Maybe that's why his dad. Maybe that's why his dad said he wanted out of there.
How many quarterbacks do you know of throughout your career that had true hiring like impact?
I think only one quarterback that has ever had that, at least that we've known of, and that has been Aaron Rodgers. But I think the sport has changed, and we all can agree to that. Yeah, but he earned that. But I'm saying we all can agree that the landscape of sports has changed. And we have seen too many times where, the input of a player is taken into account, whether it's football, we see it more in basketball and in baseball, but whether it's football, basketball, baseball, or hockey, players' input nowadays are not dismissed like they used to be.
Okay. Here's what is really going to happen, though. Amy Adams Strunk is going to talk to one of these coaches, and she's going to be it's going to be her guy. He can't leave the building, just like it happened with Brian Callahan, just like it happened with Michael. We know this. Like ultimately, it's going to be recommended by so many people, and Burke and everybody's going to say, like, this is who we think, this is who we're going with. But Amy's going to have to meet that person. That's who you have to sell.
Jonathan,
that's really what it comes down to. Regardless of how we view this process, you get the recommendation of the organization, and then Amy makes the final decision. She went to Florida and met Cam Ward and his parents during the draft process.
Jonathan Hutton of Outkick is with us on D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick. Hutton, I have two Heisman Trophy-related questions for you. The first question is, how surprised were you by the gap in Fernando Mendoza's win against Diego Pavia in Heisman Trophy voting? And then I'm going to ask you to elaborate on something I know you talked about on your show with Chad. I'm going to quote directly from the Outkick X account.
Okay.
Someone close to Diego Pavia needs to tell him to drop the act because he's speed running his own demise. So let's start with the voting, and then I want you to elaborate on your thoughts on Diego Pavia.
Oh, I will. Yeah. Look. Let's start the voting. I did not take into account how valuable championship weekend was for Indiana. I think Mendoza won it on his post-game interview.
We love that interview.
I do. It was great. It was fantastic. And by the way, he crushed it in the Heisman acceptance speech. Vanderbilt, I actually think, dodged a bullet, guys. because had Pavia won, there's no telling the promo he cuts that night.
Oh, wow.
think about his acceptance speech compared to Mendoza.
Oh,
He would be calling out the College Football Playoff Committee. He would be cutting the WWE promo. And I going to my opinion that I said on the show, I felt like this past weekend Diego Pavia was acting. He was playing a character. It's like Johnny Football versus Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel goes to a bar. He's not Johnny Manziel. He's got to be Johnny Football. Everyone's coming up to talk to John Football.
Right.
I felt at some point, and again, I don't want to crush a guy who is you're allowed to make mistakes, right? But this is like that's what drives Diego Pavia is being slighted, being undersized, being the underdog. He's not the underdog anymore. Like he's won, regardless of how he's got to view it as a loss. And I think what happens is he doesn't know how to handle a win. Instead of he's got to find the loss. I don't know if that makes sense, but he doesn't take into account that 188 people voted him as the best player in America because he's looking at who slighted him instead of who accepted his performance as the best.
But that's the double-edged sword, right? With Diego,
right? Yeah, I mean, so it's just. I think the other stuff is just like going to the club and having some Woodford old fashions or something. But like I look at it really I don't want that to overemphasize or take away from the true great impact he's had on the Vanderbilt football program. He has allowed, and Clark Lake, Vanderbilt University just invested in football heavily. And he's without NIL and the transfer, that doesn't happen. And he's the reason. Like he's a Heisman fighter. But it really just displayed more arrogance than acceptance, if that makes sense. He's trying to learn how to handle being praised instead of looked at as the guy who can't do it. And he'll take that to the NFL too. Like that will be true Pavia. I felt like this weekend was just kind of like a script.
To be fair, Hutton, I did read a column the other day in USA Today where the author of the column, whose name is escaping me at the moment, made the case for Diego Pavia to become a professional wrestler. You mentioned the promo he would have cut if he had won the Heisman Trophy. He has a amateur wrestling background. He clearly is comfortable in front of a microphone. The WWE has a program where they integrate collegiate athletes into the world of professional wrestling. So I could see it, but your point is well taken. This is what I said the other day when we were talking about it. This is what I stand by. No one who liked Diego Pavia on Saturday morning disliked Diego Pavia on Sunday morning because of his actions. Because this is who Diego Pavia has always been, at least in my opinion.
Right, but I'm championing the Diego Pavia that was prior to this weekend. I just don't. Again, I think he realizes. I think Candace Story Lee and Clark Lee handled it well. They clearly got to him, and he, I've been around Pavia privately. He's not a guy that you don't want to hang out with. I just don't want him to become Logan Paul.
I hear that, but you know what? Logan Paul is incredibly successful. But I totally get what you're saying.
Sure.
Jonathan Hutton has been our guest on D-Mays, Ving, and Adonic. He's also a professional wrestler, so there you go. Jonathan Hutton is brought to you by A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs. Hutton, as always, we'll talk next week.
Click, buy, print, amomentspeace.com.
There you go.
Guys, always great to catch up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Talk
Have a good
to you
weekend.
soon. 615-737-1025. We will react to what Hutton had to say. We'll revisit what Cam Ward said earlier today at practice that got us all frothing at the mouth, particularly Willie and Derek. But we'll do that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com.
How much would you like to be in on the front? Not hiring the guy, but as far as, meeting all the candidates that they bring in and kind of seeing what they have in mind maybe for you.
I want to meet all of them. Every coach who's going to get the opportunity to come here, I want to meet them, have conversations throughout the whole process with them, because that's someone that I'm going to be here with, for that time. So we got to just continue to, me being around and being open to no matter whoever we try to hire. Because I know at the end of the day, who we do hire is going to be the right fit for us. Whether it's a defensive person or offensive person, they're going to make sure that every person, in the right place and make sure that every person is set up for success.
Conversations already with Mike and Chad about wanting to be involved with this, or maybe what some of the qualities you might want?
Yeah, I've had conversations with them about wanting to be involved. They know how much I want to be involved. And then especially just not even with the scheme part of it, just, as the head coach, who he is on an everyday basis. And then we'll get into, the scheme, what, I know I'm good at, what I want to do, what he thinks, will also help me.
That was Cam Ward earlier today talking about how involved he wants to be in the Titans head coaching search and hiring process. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you live at Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators will take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Pregame with Max Hurst starts at the top of the hour. Puck drop at 7 o'clock, as always, right here on 102.5 The Game. Now, Derek, you said at the beginning of the show, you're A-okay with Cam Ward being involved in the process. Willie, not so sure. Frankly, I'm not sure which side I'm on. I can see both of your arguments. Donovan and Franklin on our text line says Cam absolutely should have some say on it if he thinks the coach can help him succeed. Not his choice, but definitely deserves input for being the quarterback and being the first overall pick. A lot of people on our text line who are against this idea have said that Cam hasn't earned that right because he has had an underwhelming rookie season. If Cam Ward were lighting the world on fire, I don't think a lot of people would have issue with Cam being involved in the process, but I can understand it from Cam Ward's point of view. The next coach is going to be have a significant influence on his development, and you want to make sure that the starting quarterback and the head coach, they've got a good rapport, they're on the same level, they see the game the same way. You want to make sure that they can coexist. But I also do see the other aspect of it, which is, has Cam earned the right? Just being the number one overall pick and the presumed starting quarterback moving forward doesn't always give you that, that responsibility. So I see your point. I see Willie's point. I think both of you make compelling arguments.
Again, it's not that, I want him in on every single interview at the beginning. And I know that's what Cam said. What I'm saying is once you've narrowed it down, there's nothing wrong with Cam saying what he said.
Mm-hmm.
He's talked with the organization, and I'm sure they gave him feedback. So he felt comfortable when that question was asked of him, what he was thinking. But that doesn't mean, again, just because he wants to be a part of all that, he will. But what I will say is this: once you've narrowed it down, because him being a part of a search that at this point probably involves 8 or 9 guys, no, you don't need to be a part of that. No, you don't. I really don't want to be a part of it, to tell the truth. I'm saying if I'm the GM. But once we narrow it down to 2, maybe 3, but more importantly 2, then yeah, I think that's where you phase in your quarterback. Up until that point, you keep him aware. You keep him updated on the guys that you've spoken with and everything else, the process. But when I narrow it down to 2 people, possibly 3, then I do want to bring the quarterback in. And again, I'm not bringing him in for the whole 4-hour meeting. I'm just saying they're 4 hours. I don't know how long they are. But in this example, I'm not bringing him in for the whole 4-hour meeting. Just bring him in. Okay, we're talking scheme or something. Okay, I'm going to bring Cam in. Let's talk, sit down, do some things on the whiteboard, and kind of go from there. Again, people, I don't know why That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a part. Like he gets the final say on hiring. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm just imagining.
And I think people like
Go ahead.
they don't know how. I think sometimes, especially in a Titan situation, there's like it's either got to be this way or that way. Its prime example is Cam. Either he's showing us he can't do it or he can.
Lenny on our text line says, for God's sakes, it's unlikely Ward will even be playing after the halfway point of next year.
So people didn't already. It's like nobody, like you said, nobody wants to take. I don't know.
Yeah, nobody likes. I don't know.
Exactly. It's like none of us know. None of us know how Cam is going to be as a quarterback beyond this season. We understand what we see, and what I see is a guy that has talent with not much talent around him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why everybody don't see that. It's like y'all beg for them to get a quarterback. Y'all beg for them to have patience. Let the patience begin with the fan base now. And I know it's hard because they've been losing. But Cam Ward was brought into a situation as any quarterback would have been, whether he was picked number 1, 15, or 23rd in the draft. They're coming to a situation where the talent on this team isn't where it needs to be. And it's going to take a minute for them to get out of this hole that they're in. So y'all expecting something from Cam that because of the things around him, it ain't going to happen right now. But you know that, but you're still writing him off. Like, he missed a pass. Oh, I'm writing him off. He can't complete a pass. Well, how about the pass he completed to Gunnar Helm on the sideline? People tend to forget. It's like what Hutton said about Diego. Diego was always looking for the negative. He ain't looking at the positive. He's always looking for the negative. And that's what fueled his career, his college career. And that's what made him the player he is, that chip on his shoulder. It's like you don't see all these throws that he's making and things that he's doing. You praise him, but the minute he misses a throw, it's like this kid can't do nothing. Oh, he's a bust. Like, serious people. Like, I'm pleading with y'all. Just let the season end. Give this kid an opportunity. It ain't his fault this organization is bad. It has been bad. He's trying to help it. Borgazzi's trying to help it. Hopefully they do get that done. But y'all are just writing the kid off. Like, knowing he doesn't have a good roster because he's made a few bad throws. And yes, he needs to get better. I'm not saying that. But two things can happen at the same time. And a lot of people ain't understanding that. It's like he either got to show he's the guy or he's a bust. Again, y'all was screaming and yelling, at least give Will Levis 20 games. At least give him to the next season. But y'all don't want to do that for Cam. Like, damn, I don't understand that. It pisses me off. It really does. Like, y'all understand. And I want, like, the kid, he has a ways to go. He does. He has some things that he needs to improve on. Okay? But to sit here and say that he's a bust, they need to move on, all this other stuff. Okay, if he's in the middle of next season and nothing look better as far as him, then okay, we can make that. We can start making that decision. But again, it's not like he walked in on a roster that was full of talent, full of playmakers, and he's the Achilles heel. He's the guy that can't get it right. He's not in that situation, people, and y'all know it. Y'all know it.
LD from McMinnville says, having to earn the right to have a say is such an old school, outdated, prehistoric way of thinking. If we want to see this team be successful, they should want the quarterback to be married and attached at the hip with the new coach. Therefore, let him have some input. He's not going to make the choice, but at least have some input. Like, I'm imagining throughout this conversation, I've been imagining the show.
Little Ricky?
No, not Little Ricky. Little Derek. I've been imagining the show Shark Tank. And I'm just imagining the head coaching candidate in front of all of the sharks pitching his product, and Cam Ward looking like Mark Cuban with his legs crossed, and then saying, for those reasons, I'm out. and you know what? Cam can be out. That's fine. It's not up to Cam Ward. It's not up to Cam Ward. As I said earlier, I don't think this is a situation where Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, whoever else is making this decision, calls Cam Ward on the phone and said, Cam, it's Chad. We've talked it through. we're hiring Mike McCarthy as the next head coach. And Cam Ward goes, as my son likes to say when I tell him to do something that he doesn't want to do. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. We aren't hiring Mike McCarthy. We're hiring Matt Nagy. Like that's not what's going to happen.
No.
So I don't have an issue with Cam Ward being involved in the process in some form. As I said before, maybe you have the initial interviews, and when you whittle down the group to your finalists, you bring Cam in for a little bit. You sit down in an office, you play with the whiteboard a little bit, you look at the iPad, the Microsoft Surface, whichever one is sponsored by the NFL, and you do that.
You talk to him about the family and stuff like that.
Right. So I think it's well within Cam Ward's right to be involved in the process on the periphery. Like, it's not up to him to make the choice. His say doesn't have a gigantic influence on who the front office ultimately hires, but I think it's well within his right, I should say, to at least have some input. 615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction to this, a lot of it on our text line during Derek's impassioned plea to Titans fans about Cam Ward. 615-737-1025. We'll wrap up the show next. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Derek Mason and Adam Vingan here with you. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. Fans are filing in. The Predators will host the Carolina Hurricanes tonight at 7 o'clock. Max Hers will have pregame for you at the top of the hour. The Predators going for their 8th win in 11 games. This is the first of, let me clarify, 3 consecutive home games for the Nashville Predators before they play their next 7 games on the road. Now, there's a gap. They play the first game next Monday in Minnesota. Then the league takes off the 24th, 25th, and 26th for Christmas break. And then the Predators will be on the road from December 27th through January 6th.
Wow.
So we're not going to see Willie for a while.
No, we're not. Not in person, at
No,
least.
we're going to have him on the show, of course, but we're not going to see Willie for a while. So we are enjoying all the time we have with Willie right now. So a big homestand for the Predators. They take on the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs, actually in the other order. The Toronto Maple Leafs on the 20th and the Rangers on the 21st, so over the weekend. So 3 big games for the Predators as they continue to try to keep things rolling. Joey from Bellevue says, someone give Derek a chocolate chip cookie after that rant. My goodness.
Thank you. I love chocolate chip cookies. So,
but you're passionate about Cam Ward, and I appreciate that. And there's no, as I said earlier this week, there is no convincing Titans fans on either side of the debate that perhaps their view is incorrect. If you like Cam Ward, you're still going to like Cam Ward at the end of the season. If you're out on Cam Ward, you're still going to be out on Cam Ward at the end of this season. And we're going to have this debate all off season long. And when the coaching hire happens and OTAs and training camp, we're going to do it all over again. So buckle up. Matt on our text line says, I think Ward's first question for prospective coaches should be, have you watched my Tubi special? Right away, that will tell if they're more interested in him than this lifelong Titans fan yet.
Listen, I am passionate about him, but I'm not delusional. Okay. There's a bias because of the organization, but I'm not going to allow that bias to cloud, if I see a player not doing the things, or if I don't think he is capable. If you've listened to us long enough, and I know all of you have, I'm straight down the middle. I'm only calling it what I see. Cam does need to improve, but I also see a roster that needs to really improve around him before I can even make an assessment on whether he's the franchise quarterback or not. And it's like people don't want to see that. Again, I'm passionate, but I'm not delusional. I know in this league, for a quarterback, sometimes quarterbacks hit it right away. Sometimes quarterbacks don't. Sometimes quarterbacks hit it, take a step back. Sometimes quarterbacks don't hit at first, and then they start to get better. We know the stories across the spectrum. I can throw the names out there, but the listeners, you've listened to us long enough, you know the names. My thing with Cam is just let the process happen. Like, give the young man more time, or give him time, period. It's not even more time. Give him time, period. We hadn't even got to a whole season. There are already people writing him off. At least give the man an opportunity, because the same people that are writing him off now, next year, if he does start to develop and really come on after his first year, then those same people are going, oh, I knew he could do it. Oh, he got it. Oh, it's because of no. This man doesn't have enough around him, and he's dealing with a coaching staff that ain't going to be here, to really, truly assess whether he's going to be the guy or not. The coaching staff, they're telling you he's developing, but he ain't developing at a rate that's going to win this team ball games. He's not, because you know why? Because his roster's not good. And everybody knows that. We all talked about it at the beginning of the season, how bad this roster was. But all of a sudden, now we all got amnesia. And it's like, oh no, he can't. He ain't the guy. All I'm asking is just give the young man into the middle of next season at least. Let's give him into the middle of let's see how the offseason go. Let's see what the Titans do as far as personnel. And then let's start the clock on him from there. I think the problem is, and I've said this before, and I believe it's true. Y'all don't trust the Titans. That's what it is. Y'all don't trust the Titans. This could have been Cam Ward. It could have been Jackson Dart. It could have been any one of these quarterbacks. Y'all don't trust the Titans. Y'all don't trust that they can bring in someone that can develop the young man, because every quarterback needs development. I don't care how good he may start off. Every quarterback needs development, and if he doesn't develop right, you're not going to see the quarterback that he ultimately is supposed to be.
One texter says, is anyone truly saying Cam is a bust as a whole, or are they saying he's a bust as a number one pick? The answer is yes. But people are saying both. I have heard people say that Cam Ward isn't worthy of being the number one overall pick, and that's because of how people evaluated him coming out of Miami and the relative lack of oomph, pizzazz, whatever word you want to use, about the quarterbacks in last year's draft class. Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, etc. And yes, there are people who are already claiming that Cam Ward is a bust. And as I said earlier, here's where I stand on this. I think Hutton used the right term when we were talking to him. I have an incomplete grade on Cam Ward.
Yes.
I am not prepared at this moment to declare one way or the other, because that's not how I operate. I need a larger sample than 14 games to make a decision on any player or any team. I mean, the Titans have been bad for a while. I know the Titans are a bad team, and I factor that into the calculus when I'm determining whether Cam Ward can make it or not. Cam Ward has not been overly impressive this season overall.
No.
I think he's made some really impressive plays. You've seen glimpses of why people liked him as the number one pick in the draft last year, but there's been too much inconsistency. The numbers don't pop off the page. But like Derek said as well, I'm also cognizant of the fact that he is in a tough environment. His pass catchers are inexperienced. He has his top targets are fourth round rookies. That's rare. That doesn't happen very often. So again, this is not me saying I am certain that Cam Ward is going to succeed, because I don't know the answer to that. And guess what? Neither do any of you. And that's okay. It's like I said, it's okay to be indecisive on certain things. I know that we all want to be decisive on things. We want to be like yes or no, but sometimes there's a gray area. And that's where I am on
But a lot
Cam.
of people don't want to, they refuse to be in that gray area, because like you said, it's either this way or that way. There's no in the middle. I know the circumstance around him, but I don't care.
There's a lot of tribalism in our world right now, where you've got to be on one side, and you've got to only be on that one side, and the other side is wrong all the time. You can talk to somebody on the other side, and it doesn't matter what they say. You are entrenched in your opinion. And I know a lot of people are probably assuming I'm talking about politics. That happens, but it happens in other walks of life too. There is a lot of tribalism that you can't like two things at the same time. So that's where I am on Cam Ward. I'm just not prepared to sit here and declare one way or the other. One texter says the Titans find themselves in the gray area too much as an organization. And I do think to the texter's point, I do think, as Derek, you just said, that the Titans have been piss poor for the past 3.5 years or however long it's been, since that fateful trip back from Green Bay, Wisconsin, after the Titans beat the Packers at Lambeau Field. It's been a mess. And that factors into this. The Titans haven't made a lot of great decisions lately. And because of that, our interpretation of what they do is skewed because of that. Totally understand that. That's what we were talking about with Nick Saban earlier, right? Like Gentry Estes' column. Should the Titans give a call to Nick Saban now that he's going to be in town as a minority owner of the Predators? Should they give him a call and see if he can help fix the Titans franchise? It's because Nick Saban gives off the air of a winner. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's won a lot of national championships. And if you put Nick Saban in front of a microphone, in front of an organization, people are going to believe what he has to say because he's Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes into it as well. So I agree. I understand what the texter is saying.
Look, after and people are looking at it and they're saying, well, he hasn't had that wild game. And because people are looking at the stats. I look at last year's stats of Drake May. Now Drake May, he's a better quarterback. As we sit now, he's a better quarterback. So I'm not sitting here saying that Cam is better than Drake May. But outside of the completion percentage, their numbers in their first year after 13 games are similar. Cam has one more game, 14. But if you look at the numbers, interception, touchdown, yards per play, they're relatively the same, except the percentage. Now, if guys were catching balls, Cam percentage would be a little bit higher. But no one sat there and said that Drake May, and I know Drake May wasn't the number one pick, I get it. But there are many that said he should have been the number one pick. But nobody complained about Drake May. They said get him the right coach. Give him the right coach. And maybe because we wasn't watching him, but get him the right coach. They got him the right coach, right offensive coordinator. Look how things have changed for him in that team. Let's wait until we at least figure out if the Titans got the right coach and the right offensive coordinator for this young quarterback, meaning next season. And then let's start making our determination based on that. I'm not saying he's Drake May, people, so don't take my words and twist them. He's not Drake May. I think Drake May is a better quarterback. But I'm saying if you're looking at the numbers, like touchdowns, interceptions, yardage per play, they're right around the same after 13, 14 games.
We will continue this conversation tomorrow. Thank you all for your participation all show long. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock in studio. Elliot Freeman of Sportsnet will join us at 5 o'clock for his weekly chat. We'll talk about the Predators and the NHL with our friend Elliot Freeman. We'll also have another pair of Music City Bowl tickets to give away. So if you've missed out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you have 2 more opportunities to win a pair of tickets to the Music City Bowl. We will be doing that tomorrow. But in the meantime, Predators pregame with Max Hurst. Predators versus Hurricanes tonight at 7. Pregame coming up next.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Wednesday. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music. Don't you forget about us because we will never forget about you. See you tomorrow, 3 p.m. on 102.5 The Game. Peace.